Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mobility Mondays. I'm Sean Fitzgerald, one of the personal trainers here at the Upper Valley Aquatic Center. So I want to thank you for taking time to kind of watching kind of what we're doing today and kind of seeing what we have to offer and just kind of enjoying. Like always, like, subscribe, and that way we can send out any information that we got, pass on the word, kind of what we're doing here, and reach as many people as we can. So, we try to help as much as, some people can't make it to the gym. So it's always great to be able to try to do these type of avenues to help and get, some exercise that people might be able to do at their house and just kind of feel a little better. So today, we're going to keep working our way up the body. So we started, right around with our ankles, and then we moved into our calves. And so now we're going to come up into, your knees. So when you think about it, like, mobility isn't really associated with your knee, right? So that's more of for a stable. But we need to still do exercises to actually help, right? To help support, to help, keep that area healthy for us. So whether it's not really as mobile, in terms of, like, say, your shoulder, where you're kind of, like, it can go everywhere, but your knee, still needs to be able to, basically bend. Have you seen people walking and they're kind of a little stiff, or, they can't really bend? One of the key things is if you watch people, if they're on the ground, if they can sit on their knees, right? Are they able to sit all the way down? Are they, can they only go part way? So those are things that we want to, tap into and see what we can do to help, and see how we can, maybe get a little bit more range. And, as you should be able to sit on your knees and things like that. So today, I kind of got a little ball. It's like a Pilates ball that we can use, a little rubber ball, or you can even get away with a mat, a blanket, a pillow, basically anything. So at work, all it does is just goes between your knees. So it's not like you're really doing anything that requires these. It's just something soft that will fit between your knees. So, as we, come up here, let me tilt this back up for you. So as we look at it, right, the knee is a hinge, right? So basically we're able to extend, bring in, like that. That's all it does, right? It's not like where it's your shoulder, where you can move in all sorts of things, right? We can only go one way. So for us, we want to make sure that we're able to actually, get into, like, be able to do that, right? So got a couple different things that we can do. A lot of people do, like, say, your barbell squats, your kettlebells, your dumbbell squats, like all that sort of stuff, and that's helpful. You can do that, you're able to use that. But some people may not want to load, or it hurts to load, anyway. So body weight still works. That it's still, it still comes true. So you can still do body weight. It helps. Anything to kind of get you moving is really what we're looking for, right? So kind of what I like to do is really, you put your ball, put your blanket, whatever you want. So all it is it's going in just in between my knees. And I'm kind of just squeezing it because I'm protecting my knees, right? I don't want to put my knees, together, because that's when it's really going to hurt. So it's really just protection. And from here, we're really just going to bend over and try to touch your toes, right? We're just going to come down. So some people, you're not going to be able to touch your toes. You might be able to only go here. And you're like, what? I feel it. That hurts right in the back, right back here and right in my hamstrings, right? So, what we want to do is, this is kind of just a nice little loosening up and kind of getting a little bit, maybe a little more strength and a little bit flexibility in your hamstring. So all we're going to do is, you're basically just going to squeeze your ball, your blanket, anything like that in between your knees. And you're just going to get tall, kind of elongate. And then we just want to kind of come on down, try to touch your toes. If you're not touching your toes, a simple little bend in your knees, and then just come up and go tall again. So what we're doing is really we're moving the hamstrings, and we're just going back and forth, right? We're going tall, we're coming on down, we're stretching, we're going tall, coming down, we're stretching. So after a couple reps, because you're squeezing that ball, right, you're probably going to feel like, all right, starting to loosen up, starting to feel a little better. I can feel it maybe move a little, easier, it might not hurt as much. So those are all the things that we're kind of looking for. So that's one little kind of trick, little hack, if you want to say, to help get you to kind of like bend that way. And that will help us, you try to feel a little better because your hamstrings will loosen up everything, which will go in as we work up our chain. But just for that point, we want to try to work on touching our toes and try to increase our range in that aspect. So here's a couple things that we can do after doing that. So I'll point these down so you can actually see my knees and my feet. So what we want to do, right? So everyone kind of does their, their normal body weight squat, right? Like you're always coming down, like, feet about hip width apart, toes, forward, like, we can all do that. Like that's perfectly fine. But what we're going to do is something a little different, right? So if your knees bother you, it's all to tolerance again. But what we're going to do is we're going to put our feet together, right? And I'm going to do a slight bend, and I'm going to stay at this bend. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down. And all I'm doing is probably like a count of 10. And what I'm doing is I'm basically just bending my knee, I'm kind of squatting, right? Like that you might be used to with a barbell or anything like that. But I'm just kind of doing it, right? So that's with the feet together, right? Now, I'm gonna put my toes kind of facing out, right? So my heels are touching, my toes are facing out. And if your knees come together, if they touch, that's fine. If not, it's no big deal. The same thing, you're gonna come to a slight bend, and we're just gonna, it's just small little simple movements. We don't have to go crazy. We're not looking to, really like get all the way down into a deep, we're all it is just small little movements that kind of help us really get kind of moving. All right. So after that one, I got my toes together now, right? And all we're doing is here, if they come together, great. If not, no big deal. Still a slight little bend, and we're just doing this, right? It's just this small little movement. We're not going to where we're feeling pain, discomfort. All it is I'm just moving a little bit to kind of get into that position that I'm looking for. So, like that's all we're really looking for, and just that. And that's just a simple little movement in the 3 different foot stance to kind of help get a little bit, right? Just anything, So if you think about it, how often have you even moved maybe that little bit, right? None, besides maybe squatting down at the store or at home or, things like that. So little things like that, helpful, kind of gets you going, gets you moving a little bit, and it helps a little bit. So now, just kind of what we were talking about at the beginning was we were sitting on our knees. Right, so I'm right here, right, and these, up downs, like they're, you can, everything kind of has a different name, but all I'm doing is, can I sit down? Am I able to get that gap closed? And you just come up. If you can't, right, that mat that you use, the blanket, anything like that, right, just tuck behind, right here. And what you're doing is you're just going to where that is, right? If that's as far as you can go, that's all we got to do, right? Have you ever seen, a little one, if you got any, there's basically just plop right down, on their knees, and they're sitting so awkwardly. You're like, how does that not hurt you? Well, it's same thing. Like they do it all the time, right? When was the last time you actually sat down and actually did, a couple like up downs, right? So just a simple little movement. I'm not saying that overnight you'll be able to do this. For some people it might take days, weeks, months. You never really know, right? Because it's just based off of how your body responds and how much you actually work at it. If you only do it once a week, it's going to take a little longer. If you do it, say, a couple times every day, be a little quicker, right? And then the same thing, after maybe if you've never done it, might feel a little uncomfortable, the next day after kind of moving and getting into it. But still, you're going to keep practicing. You're going to keep trying to, get down and see if you're actually able to maybe sit on your heels, right? So there's one little, one thing that you can try to do that isn't in the gym, right? So you can do those basically anywhere. If you want to do them in the gym, cool. Do it as a warm up or something. Like a pre-activity little exercise. Just to kind of move in that position or something, right? Or you're at home. It's after dinner, everything's kind of cleaned up, and you're just kind of laying in the living room. If you got little ones, they're just kind of watching TV or playing some with like Legos, or you guys are just doing something. You just hop on the floor and just kind of practice for a couple minutes, and then go back to doing whatever you're doing. So you can be standing at the kitchen sink, right? You can kind of do a couple knee bends and kind of get that movement going, because if you don't, eventually you're just going to keep getting stiff, and it's just going to be more and more uncomfortable as time goes on. So hopefully doing a little bit, like stuff like that, items to where you're kind of doing up downs and, kind of that duck and pigeon and all of that, and feet together, just those little micro bends and, bending down with the ball, touch your toes, things like that will help, hopefully make things easier. And then when you actually do come back to the gym, maybe that squat, right? Maybe that kettlebell squat or the dumbbell squat, or, if you're really into barbell squatting, maybe it'll be that much, it's comfortable, right? It's not something that you won't dread, right? So hopefully being more comfortable moving in that position, it's kind of like a nice little stepping stone. And then you can come in and then, you can grab a little kettlebell or, grab a dumbbell and actually get into a nice squat, eventually, because you're going to feel, you gain that confidence, you feel more comfortable, and it really could set, your program up to a whole new level, right? Because once you build that confidence, you're able to go, anywhere within your program. You're able to do more. You'll feel like, hey, I'm not going to hurt myself. You feel more comfortable, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So, kind of a little recap. So we put our ball between our knees, right? We get tall, and then we're just trying to come down. We're trying to touch our toes, right? Just kind of do that several times. You can bend your knees to try to touch your toes, but make sure we keep getting that, that nice stretch, that where we're not pain, but a little just discomfort, because you want to make sure, you're feeling it. For some people that might have a lot more flexibility, like your probably hands are on the ground, right? So everyone's a little different, and that's perfectly fine, right? But you can never do too much. So you always practice it. Keep doing more and more as often as you can, and it will make it easier and easier, every single time you do it. Then move into your small little micros, basically, feet together. We're squatting down, heels and then toes, right? And we're just doing, we're not looking for you to do, 20, 30, 40. You really don't need to do that much. Like if you can only do 8, there you go. Perfect, right? That's 8 more than what you were doing before. So that's like progress, right? That's all you're striving. You want to do just a little bit more than what you were doing the day before, right? And that's how you gain that momentum, and you feel better, and you just keep taking those small wins, and you just keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going, right? So you can do all of that, and then even say you got I'm sitting in a chair right here, right? And so my knee, I'm kind of like parallel just because of where where my chair height is. And like, does it hurt if you do just leg extensions? Right? You can be sitting home and, the machine does this, right? In the gym, your leg extension, right? So I'm kind of sitting here, right? You can add an ankle weight. You can put a resistance band. Here, I'll snag one right here, right? I got one. I'm just basically kind of putting it around the leg, and it's a little bit of resistance, right? Nothing much, but those are all things that you're able to pull out of your bag to help you with whatever you want to accomplish, right? So it's a little harder when you're at home, right? Guys, you might not have as much, but body weight is still just as good. Just you can do leg extensions, do single, do double, mix it up. Come back and maybe I just do a hold. Say you're gonna, be like, you know what? I'm gonna hold it out here for 10 seconds, and I'll come down. And I'm gonna go up, I'll hold, so you can add all of that to make it a little more challenging, and you're strengthening, because you're gonna feel it right here, right in your quads, right in the top muscle, right? So you'll feel it there, and then that's kind of what actually helps you, propel is your quad. But I don't need to get into too much anatomy yet. But what you want to do is keep doing those motions. Keep, like you can be sitting on the couch, right, and just, all right, I'm gonna do a couple leg lifts, right? You got little ones, put little ones on your feet, right? It's gonna be tough because depending on how big they are, but you can do that. Adds a little bit. They'll think it's great, right? They're gonna love it because they're hanging out with you. You're basically swinging them in, you're swinging them in the air, so they love that, and so it's kind of like a benefit for everyone, right? You're getting a little bit of leg workout in. Kids are having fun doing it with you. You're together with them. It's not like you have to dump them off at, family or friends, or, your partner has to watch them so you can go lift, or, like if you got daycare at the gym, these are things that kind of would help them understand, like, oh, like mommy or daddy, whoever, staying healthy, and I'm doing it with them, right? So those are all small little things that we can do, just simple movements, kind of not really looking to, move 200 pounds worth of weight, right? Like literally don't have to do much. And as long as the more and more you do it, the easier and easier it comes, build that confidence up. Once you come back to the gym or you feel more comfortable, those other exercises will be a lot easier for you. And that's the name of the game. So I know it's not as mobile as you kind of think it is, but it is important because you have to be able to bend walking upstairs. You got to be able to squat. You got to be able to do that movement. So it may not be as mobile as what you think, but being able to move and move healthy is extremely important. So the knee is very, very important for you to be able to keep getting into those positions, being able to bend, being able to squat, being able to stand back up. So hopefully you took a little bit away, got maybe a couple more ideas that you'd be able to pull off at your house, in the gym, maybe a pre-workout, a couple exercises just to get the blood flowing, get your body moving. All those things work. You can do it as a finisher if you feel like it. Basically anything works. It's kind of what works for you, and that in your program, in your life, and what you can do, right? So hopefully got something out of it, something a little bit, that you might not have known before, maybe a couple hints, maybe you can add to any of the things that we just kind of talked about, which is great. The more the better. Like there are so many ideas out there that basically you can tap off and go any direction you want to go. So that's the best thing about it. It's what works for you, what you experiment with, and is it hitting what you needed to hit? So again, I want to thank you for joining. So if you're ever up in the Upper Valley here, stop on in here at the Aquatic Center, say hi to us, see if we can do anything for you. And like always, like and subscribe, right? So hopefully we can get the word out, keep spreading news that, hey, you don't always have to be in a gym, but you can always be moving, you can always be healthy. So like always, thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great start to your week, being Monday. So had a good weekend. Let's get this week off right. All right, guys. Have a good one.